Big tech is about to spend roughly $2.7 trillion building the machines that run artificial intelligence, data centers, power lines, and new generation here in the United States by 2030. The Washington Post put that in scale. It's more than one Manhattan project every month. Now here's the part nobody sold you. A surprising slice of that power bill isn't being paid by the tech companies. It's landing on your household electricity statement. And it's already added an estimated $23 billion to what the public pays. You never signed up to fund a data center. So how did their electricity bill become yours? The answer isn't a scandal. It's the way the electric grid has been wired to make money for 100 years. Here's the story you're told when a data center comes to town. It's a windfall. Big tech shows up, spends billions of its own money, brings jobs and tax revenue, and pays for the power it uses. The company foots the bill, the community gets the upside. Everybody wins. It's a clean story. It's also, for the household down the road, mostly wrong. Because of how the grid is regulated, the enormous cost of hooking up a data center, the new wires, the transformers, the extra power plants, doesn't sit neatly on the tech company's account. A lot of it gets spread across everyone's bill. To see how, you have to stop watching the ribbon cutting and start reading the utility rate case. Start with the strangest fact about your electric company. A regulated utility doesn't really make money selling you electricity. It makes money building things. By law, in exchange for its monopoly, a utility is granted a guaranteed rate of return, a state-approved profit, on the capital it invests in the grid. Read that again, because it's the whole engine. The more a utility spends on power lines, substations, new generation, the more profit it is allowed to earn. Every dollar of approved construction goes into something called the rate base, and the utility collects a return on it, year after year, from its customers. So when the biggest demand shock in a generation shows up at the door, AI data centers, each one hungry for power, a utility doesn't see a problem. It sees the largest building opportunity of its lifetime. And every mile of that new grid earns a guaranteed return, paid for through the rates. Now the second engine, the one that quietly moves the cost onto you. When a utility builds a new power line or a substation, that cost usually isn't billed only to the customer who caused it. It's rolled into the shared rate base and socialized, split across every household and business on the system. That system worked fine when demand grew slowly and evenly, but a single hyperscale data center can draw around 100 megawatts, as much electricity as 100,000 households. Virginia alone now hosts nearly 600 data centers. When you bolt that much new demand onto a shared grid, someone has to pay for the upgrades. And under the old rules, that someone is everyone. So the mechanism is simple, and it's almost invisible. Big tech creates the demand, the utility builds the grid and earns its guaranteed return. And the bill for that construction gets spread across your monthly statement, a few dollars at a time, whether or not you've ever used a chatbot. Now put the numbers on the table. This isn't a warning about the future. It has already happened. One 2026 analysis estimated that data centers have added roughly $23 billion to electricity costs borne by the public. Not by the tech companies, by the public. And it lands hardest where the machines cluster. In areas with a high concentration of data centers, a Bloomberg analysis found electricity prices jumped as much as 267% over 5 years. Put a face on it. One homeowner in Manassas, Virginia, in the country's densest data center corridor, opened a January bill for $281 after paying around $100 the month before. So here's the reveal. The demand is theirs. The profit is the utilities, and a real share of the bill is quietly yours. Now the third engine. The psychology of why this accelerates instead of stopping. For decades, an electric utility was the most boring thing you could own. A slow, steady dividend stock for retirees. Then AI arrived, and something strange happened on Wall Street. Utilities became growth stocks. Think about why. If a utility's profit is a return on how much it builds, then a wave of data centers demanding new power plants and new grid is, to a utility's shareholders, pure rocket fuel. Investors piled in for the better part of 2 years, betting on the biggest construction boom the sector has ever seen. And that creates an incentive most people never notice. The company that decides how much to build and earns a guaranteed return on all of it has every reason to build more, faster, bigger. The data center boom doesn't just raise your bill. It has quietly turned your electric company into a growth business, with your rates as the fuel. So if households are subsidizing big tech, why hasn't it been stopped? It's being fought, but the fight is uneven. In March of 2026, the White House brokered a ratepayer protection pledge, and the largest AI firms agreed to pay the full cost of their energy and infrastructure. Anthropic went furthest, committing to cover 100% of the consumer price increases caused by its data centers. Sounds like the problem is solved. Here's the catch. Those pledges are voluntary. Critics call them largely symbolic, and the $23 billion has already landed. When Consumer Reports asked, 75% of Americans said they were not confident big tech would actually follow through, and more than 26,000 people signed a petition demanding data centers pay their fair share. And the structure underneath fights back. The regulated utility model rewards building. So every state now runs the same argument in front of its Public Utility Commission. Should big tech's costs sit on big tech, or keep quietly spreading across your bill? Until that's rewritten, the machine's default setting is you. Step back and look at the size of it. That build-out isn't slowing. It's $2.7 trillion by 2030, more than one Manhattan project every month. Every one of those data centers lands on a grid that, by design, spreads its costs. And most people still don't believe the bill will be handled fairly. 75% say they're not confident big tech will pay. That's the whole shape. Enormous private demand, a public grid that socializes the cost, and a profit model that rewards the build. The AI runs in a warehouse you'll never see, and a sliver of the electricity bill shows up in a mailbox you check every month. So the next time your electric bill ticks up and no one can quite say why, remember what's actually happening. You're not just paying to run your own home. Through a 100-year-old rule that pays your utility to build, you may be helping to fund the most expensive construction project in modern history, the physical body of artificial intelligence. The technology is real. The demand is real, but the way the cost gets shared is a choice, one being made right now in rate cases most people never read, and now you can see the shape of it. If you want the real mechanics behind the bills and companies you take for granted, the numbers, verified, no hype, that's exactly what this channel is for. Subscribe, and we'll take apart another one.